peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I...
Sandy into his windup. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed a perfect save.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter. This is a no-hitter. It is gone. It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner. It's over. Muncy, a walk-off home run. This is way back. Walk 'em off. Chris Taylor.
Give me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I...
MLB insider Bob Nightengale joins the show. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
Dodgers win.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball.
Grand slam. It's a double for Freddie. Mookie Magic.
They're going to make big signings. They're going to make impact trades. This is the most anticipated season in Dodgers history.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. Everything you need to know about your boys in blue in less than an hour. Now, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel, the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel in the game, and the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube, Dodgers Dugout Live. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. My name is Doug McKain, credential member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And without further ado, rejoining us today is the legend, Mr. Bob Nightengale, USA Today MLB insider. Bob, so much to get into. The season somehow, some way is already almost over. The postseason baseball feels like it's in the air. How you doing, Mr. Nightengale?
Yeah, doing great. Getting ready for the postseason, and it should be a final, fun final 2 weeks, at least for playoff seeding and things like that.
And we look at the storylines heading into the final couple of weeks. In Dodgerland, #1 is, will Shohei Ohtani, or really when will Shohei Ohtani become baseball's first 50-50 man in history? Question is, when it comes to the MVP award, there's been some talk on the East Coast about a West Coast bias, people pushing for Francisco Lindor because he does play Gold Glove defense. He's going to win the Gold Glove. But of course, Shohei Ohtani is making history. Do you think that Shohei Ohtani will win the MVP by a runaway this year, Bob?
I do, Doug. I think it'd be a landslide. I don't think it'd be unanimous, particularly with the New York writers. There's only 30 votes, but I bet he gets at least 26 of the 30, if not 28 of 30. Just too big of a season. And if you're a DH, you have to have monster numbers, and he did. It's funny. Everybody's kind of transfixed on 50-50 when he already, broke the record. And when it was 43-43 was the record, just not a nice round number. But yeah, he'll get 50-50, and it's a cool thing especially for a DH to do it. We went nuts last year with Ronald Acuna. He hit 42 home runs, stole 72 bases, and played right field. And that was amazing too.
Yeah, incredible stuff. When you look at just the numbers across the board, they're insane. And before this, the most stolen bases for a season with 50-plus home runs was Alex Rodriguez when he had 54 in 07, had 24 stolen bases. So, what he's doing is absolutely insane. But kind of the talk last couple of days has been, could we see Shohei Ohtani on the mound in the postseason? We know he's coming off the Tommy John surgery, had the brace surgery, presumably. I've been at those bullpen sessions. The glove has been popping. He looks locked in, and Dave Roberts didn't completely rule it out. He didn't say that he was going to close the door 100%, but in your mind, do you think there is any realistic chance that the Dodgers use Ohtani out of the bullpen in October?
I don't. I think zero chance. Just doesn't make sense. You just had the surgery last September. You're only talking 12 months, and too much money is invested in him to take that risk. And besides, I'm not sure quite how that would work. Say you want to bring him in a safe situation. Well, what if his turn at bat is bomb the 8th inning? Is he going to go to the mound without any warm up? What if he's warming up his turn at bat? He'd be called out just on a delay with the 3 strikes. So I don't even know how logistically that would work anyway. But no, I think there's no chance.
Yeah, I think, look, if it's way down the line after a ton of injuries and you're that close to a World Series title and he's your best option, maybe you say, okay, let's unleash him like the WBC, like the at-bat versus Trout. But don't worry, Bob, you're not pouring cold water on my Ohtani pitching dream. I'm with you on this one. When you look at the investment, my big fear would be if something went wrong, then you lose his bat next season or for a portion of the season. So I don't see it. I don't think that it's a viable option. But hey, it's Shohei Ohtani at the end of the day. Nothing that this guy does would shock me. And if he wanted to pitch, who knows? I mean, I just think it's kind of wild that Dave Robertson completely ruled it out. Now, as far as some of the current Dodgers on the roster, Bob, that are heading into free agency, you have Walker Buehler, who a few years ago, he established himself as one of the best postseason pitchers in the game. It looked like he was destined for $100 to $200 million contract, had the second Tommy John surgery, hasn't pitched well. What do you think the market will look like for Walker Buehler this offseason?
Well, he's going to have to sign a 1-year contract. I mean, 1 year, maybe club option, player option, that sort of thing. So it makes all the sense in the rule for him to come back to LA. He knows the trainers, the staff, and then hit the market again. But he's going to have to go a short-term contract just because he hasn't shown that he's bounced back yet with all the struggles. So I can't see him signing more than a 1-year deal with an option or two.
And do you think the Dodgers would be probably right at the top of the list of teams that would bring him back, or do you see him trying to going elsewhere, kind of like the Lucas Giolito, like a Jack Flaherty, kind of a bet on yourself type deal with another team?
I would think he would come back in the sense that, as long as he trusts the Dodger staff and the trainers, why not have the same, regiment going? They know him better than anybody else. So I would think the Dodgers would make more sense than some other team just taking a gamble and never seen him, haven't done the medical reports on him, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you look at the Dodgers rotation next season. We already talked about Ohtani. He's going to be back. You have Yamamoto and Glass now, and Gavin Stone's look great. Gonsolin's going to be back. But there's a pitcher that you've been sharing some nuggets about throughout this season, and that is Japanese phenom Roki Sasaki. What can you tell us about Roki Sasaki right now? Do you think he will be available for teams next season? Do you see him pitching in the show next year? And where the Dodgers stand and all that?
Well, I mean, the rumor has been for a year that he's going to sign with the Dodgers. And you get him for, cheap price because he's not 25 years old yet. It's just like when Shohei went over to the Angels, they got him for nothing. So that sort of thing. He did not have a great year by any means, injured a little bit, strong with the control. But as far as just pure stuff, I mean, it's better than Yamamoto. It's better than Ohtani. You name it. I mean, it's unbelievable. But just, getting it down. So, kudos to him if he's going to, sacrifice that kind of money and come out and, not get the $300 million that Yamamoto got. But he's got great stuff. And I think everybody, even though he's kind of like a country kid, lives on a farm, I would think having, Yamamoto there, having Ohtani there would make him comfortable. Say, you know what, I'd rather go where I have some friends.
And do you think ultimately at the end of the day, the Marines let him go to the show?
I do. There's been talk about there's even a contract in place that will allow him to do it. He didn't do it last year. He talked about it. So I would think, why not? I mean, obviously they want to get the money they wanted, but it kind of depends on that original agreement they had. And nobody really knows that except for, the team and him himself.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been really sifting through as far as what are his contributions to the Marines, and kind of when they determined that it's sufficient, then you let him go. And then there's the money that they could get. We saw how much the Buffaloes got from the Yamamoto posting situation. So they do stand to lose some money. But yeah, I mean, if he's willing to take that risk on himself and be kind of like the pitching version, the just only pitching version of Ohtani, willing to take that minor league contract, hey man, you got to give him a lot of credit. Any other teams you think would be in the mix for Roki? I mean, the Padres have been rumored to as well. Do you think any of the East Coast teams like the Mets and the Yankees?
Oh, I think all 30 teams would be on him.
Yeah.
Just like Ohtani, where he would just, go down the list and say, okay, I'll, do like the final 6 or 8. Remember, it was a big story when Ohtani knocked off the Yankees. Of course, with him, he wanted to kind of be in the West Coast. And that's where the Dodgers have the advantage. All the teams in California and in the West Coast have a big advantage because it's a lot closer to home. You're not adding another 4 or 5 hours to that trip. So I would think, the Dodgers would have still the number one advantage, particularly having Yamamoto Ohtani on the team and help them out. And the Padres have, they have Darvish too.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Darvish. So I wouldn't discount their chances either.
Bob, can you imagine if after last offseason, the Dodgers spending $1.4 billion, they somehow get Roki Sasaki, the top pitching prospect on the planet, on that kind of money? I mean, they would just lose it. Fans would just absolutely be more upset than they were. It'd be something insane. Now, as far as Teoscar Hernandez, he signed a one-year deal with the Dodgers, had some deferred money, and he makes the All-Star team. He really solidified this lineup. He rakes and has so much success against left-handed pitching. Do you see him being one of the top outfielders available, and what kind of contract do you think for him? Something 4 or 5 years, 80 to 100 plus million? I mean, what range do you think Teoscar's in, Bob?
Yeah, I don't see why not a 5-year deal for over $100 million. Everybody's looking for, guys who can slug, and he's one of them. He's proven it. Seattle messed up by not giving the qualifying offer. So I think the Dodgers would kind of set a price, just like they did with, other guys, whether it's Seager or somebody else. Okay, we're willing to go this. If it's higher than that, we'll look elsewhere. But he fit in nicely, and they love the job he's done. And it's hard to find those guys. So, why not bring him back?
Yeah, you got Teoscar. He's someone that, I mean, if he has success in the postseason, we know he's a great fit in the clubhouse. We know that Ohtani loves him. That definitely has to help as well. Do you think ultimately, though, the Dodgers may focus on addressing the shortstop position? Because Gavin Lux, he's really turned things around offensively. He's been one of the best bats after the All-Star break. It really seems like he's found a home at second base. Do you think they'll give another shot at playing him at shortstop? Do you think they'll give Mookie another shot at shortstop? Or do you think the Dodgers go out there and explore the possibility of signing someone like a Willy Adames?
I think they go outside. I don't think they're going to do the Betts thing again. I mean, he was fine doing it.
Yeah.
But if you're, got World Series aspirations, you don't want a key era in the postseason. And now that Gavin Lux is settled in, why mess around with him? He's perfect at second base. I don't think you want to take that gamble again like they did before. So Adames would be perfect. Go trade for Bo Bichette. You could do that too. So they're hard to find. Adames makes the most sense if they want to come with the money. He's got the great personality. It'd be a nice fit in LA. And I think with his personality, he would like to be in a big market.
Yeah, Willy Adames, I mean, he'd be a great fit here too. I mean, the charisma, the smile, the defensive ability. And do you think that he's someone that gets 150 plus million, less than that? I mean, where do you think he is as far as contractually?
I would think less than that.
Less.
He's a very good player. He'll get over 100 million. I don't know about 150. He's starting to get to an age a little bit. A little bit of streaky at times. But no, I would think he'd be a highly sought after guy. Everybody's looking for shortstops that's got punch. He can run the bases well, and a good guy in the clubhouse too. A nice leader.
Yeah, and Dansby, he ended up signing that deal, bigger deal, but a younger player, as you point out. The thing with Adames, great glove, can be streaky, as you point out, does strike out, has some pop, though. Think he'd be a great fit. Now, of course, we have to talk about the big marquee name this offseason. That's going to be Juan Soto. He's had a fantastic year with the Yankees. You've heard about a bidding war between the Yankees and the Mets. A couple days ago, the Dodgers were linked to him. Do you think that they'll seriously consider offering him $450, $500, $25 million, something in that range? Or do you think at the end of the day, he stays on the East Coast and it's a bidding war between the Mets and the Yankees?
I think he stays out East. I mean, I'm sure the Giants will jump in on there. Toronto Blue Jays, just like they were with Ohtani. I don't see the Dodgers paying that kind of money. I mean, you already got, so much money invested, whether it's, Ohtani, Yamamoto and stuff, even, Betts and Freeman. It's just a way too big of a financial commitment. If you're the Dodgers, you say, you know what, this guy was in San Diego for a year and a half and did nothing for him. I didn't see any World Series banners with the Padres. And you look at the Padres, for whatever reason, they're a better team without him than they are with him. So I think the Dodgers look at that too, like, okay, what happened in San Diego?
Yeah,
let him stay out East.
Yeah, it's almost insane to think that you spend $700 million on a player one offseason, next offseason potentially $500 million. I mean, the Dodgers print money, but that'd be extremely excessive, especially when you have other areas to address. Now, as far as this Dodgers team and the expectations in the postseason, lots of pressure on the Yankees, lots of pressure on the Phillies with the way their roster currently sits, but especially in this town, it feels like it's World Series or bust for the last couple years, but now especially so. If the Dodgers do not win the World Series, do you think that Dave Roberts is on the hot seat? And do you think there's any world where based on what happens the next month and a half, Dave Roberts could be replaced potentially?
I can't see that. You still got when you're in the contract. You know, not that they can't eat that. But say they go up first round again. Say the same thing happens the last 2 years where the pitching falls apart. You can't blame Dave Roberts for that. You just can't. So I would be surprised no matter what happens to Dodgers in the postseason. He's not back as manager next year. The pitching's falling apart at the wrong time. They got 3 weeks to get it right, but you can't blame Dave Roberts for the pitching falling apart like it has.
Yeah, and look, I've always been someone who is a Doc defender. I've been known to be one just because it's the consistency, all the injuries. He rolls out of bed and gives you a 100-win season. Do you think that he doesn't get the credit he deserves as a manager?
I don't think he does. I mean, you go through so many things, and let's be honest. I mean, the front office is making a lot of decisions too. Yeah. Just like all these other teams. And so when guys are being taken out with no hitters and stuff, it's not Dave Roberts just making a decision. It's a big effort by everybody. So no, I don't think he does. I think everybody looks at that talent and said, "Oh, of course you can win with that." Well, Joe Torre had that talent too, and he's in the Hall of Fame right now. Tony La Russa has that talent. Jim Leland just went in. He says, "You know what makes a good manager is good players." He said, "I'm not going to go to the Hall of Fame unless I have good players." So you're talking about outside the old Negro leagues, no one's had a better winning percentage than Dave Roberts.
Exactly. That's what I always tell fans is that, look, yes, it feels like he almost has to win 2 to win 1 for this fan base, but they blame him for the sinking of the Titanic, right? I mean, he's the guy who falls on the sword whenever something goes wrong. But the truth of the matter is if he wins one more World Series, you can make the case that he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory and he's going to get there. He'd match Tommy Lasorda in World Series. So I always say pump the brakes, Dodgers fans, because Dave Roberts is doing a heck of a job. But we're with MLB Insider USA Today's Bob Nightengale. Okay, last question I want to ask you, Bob. I read somewhere that when you were 14, you were in a contest to become a bat boy for the Albuquerque Dodgers. Is this true? Can you tell me about this story?
Yeah, my dad was in Vietnam, and so I always loved baseball. I loved all the sports, but there was a contest for a bat boy. So yeah, it was Albuquerque. I might even call it Dukes at the time. Albuquerque Dukes for a bat boy contest. I don't know how I would have been able to pull it off and get to the games and stuff, but I thought it'd be cool. So yeah, I mean, now that the Dodgers, the AAA team, and got to see some AAA games, and it would have been a blast. I still look at these bat boys in different teams. They have a ball. It doesn't matter if they're making $10 a game or not. They act like they feel like they're making $100,000 a year. So it's I wrote a lot of respect for those bat boys and the young clubhouse guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, a lot of them are bat men at this point when you look at it. And there's a bat boy that's really a bat guy in Javier Herrera for the Dodgers this season. I don't know if you saw that earlier in the year. He's the guy that saved Ohtani when the ball was going in the dugout. Can't wait till he gets his ring. I mean, Ohtani should definitely give him a Porsche too. But Bob, we thank you so much. We know how valuable your time is, breaking it all down, giving us the insight, nuggets, the info for all things Dodger baseball, all things Major League Baseball. And definitely, you guys already follow Bob Nightengale, so I don't really need to push your socials. But hey, exciting time of year. Postseason is coming. The offseason's coming. And Bob Nightengale, we'll check in with you in the offseason. Thanks again for joining us here on Dodgers Dugout Live.
I'll see you in the division series, Doug. Look forward to it.
All right, thanks, Bob. See you when you're in L.A. There he goes, Mr. Bob Nightengale. You know him. You love him. The legend, Mr. Bob Nightengale. I'll never forget Bob Nightengale during the lockout. During the lockout, when he was in Jupiter, Florida, providing all those updates, giving us every single morsel of hope that we needed. And then Jeff Passan, he tweets out the stuff about the lockout, and then Jeff Passan ultimately tweeted Bob rules. So I love Bob Nightengale. I love what he does. And yeah, I mean, the cool thing about him is he's got that Dodger connection because he worked with the LA Times. And when he was with the LA Times in the late 90s, he was covering the Padres, the Dodgers, and the Angels. Then he goes national, USA Today, breaking all kinds of stories and really being that insider that I think, too, is not afraid to kind of have a take, too. I mean, sometimes you hear insiders, right? They're just like staying to the information. He will have a take, but lots of stuff to take away from that one. I mean, kind of gave me goosebumps talking about Roki Sasaki. And I think kind of one of them that I think Dodger fans might be a little surprised to hear him talk about was Walker Buehler, and that if Buehler returns, it would be for the Dodgers. But that'd be a cool one, Noel. The Roki Sasaki, where he's from. He's from like a very small town, and this is a superstar. I've been saying on the show, he is going to be the Dodgers version of Paul Skeens if he ends up with the Dodgers. But Yeah, can you imagine that? I mean, for you, a social media guru, to have Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Roki Sasaki, that would do a postseason numbies, as Noah likes to say.
Postseason numbies, that would just be like an epic full circle moment to see the three of them come together, take pictures, media day, going from playing for Team Japan, representing their country on the biggest stage, to all coming over to the Dodgers. I mean, with the season opener being in Japan against the Chicago Cubs,
The electric.
man, that would
Can you
be
imagine?
absolutely amazing. And I think Bob Nightengale brought up a great point too, saying that just living on the West Coast alone, you're already 4 to 5 hours closer to Japan. Their familiarity is there with your friends in Yamamoto and Ohtani. So, man, we just got to keep bringing our prayer circles together, hoping we get Sasaki.
The prayer circles, man. Hey, every night we got to say our Roki Sasaki prayers. And like I said to him is, look, you thought that Dodgers fans were mad now. If you get Roki Sasaki for under $10 million, that's essentially what I said on the show yesterday when we were talking about Juan Soto is, if you got Sasaki at that price, I mean, wouldn't Soto basically be like 200 million?
Yeah.
Because you're saving 200, 300 million. Look, I mean, that's how I kind of frame stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of save money here, you kind of make it up elsewhere. But yeah, so just to let you know, guys, today at Dodgers Nation, we have Media Day. So look at Tony Taters. Look at D'Antonio. He's all dressed up. He brushed his teeth today. He did his hair. Look at Tony Taters. Looking phenomenal. You got we got everyone rocking the stuff today. I'm actually in a full Ohtani uniform, guys. I'm in a full Ohtani today. So I people said I should have been rocking the Will Smith today, but Serena, she's going to be she's kind of in charge of this. I mean, you've done media days for other teams. I mean, how does this feel? Kind of like a big media day, man.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to get everyone's videos. We're going to post them on social. So look out. Get ready, everyone.
You know what I always want to do, Serena, is when you see them on their media days, when they'll be like, they'll film stuff to put on the Jumbotron. You know, like they'll be like, say, let's go. And they'll be like, let's go. Get up, crowd. Make some noise. Get on your feet. You know, but look, hey,
Yeah.
That's for the players, guys. I'm just trying to live my dream, feeling like a player for one day, okay? And I'm going to wear this. I'm going to wear this every day until the Dodgers win the World Series. I'm going to sleep it. No, I'm just playing, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, really awesome stuff from Bob Nightengale. We thank him again for joining us. He's the man. We got some comments down below. Martin, they better sign Teo or I will flip out. Wow. Martin, you sound a little scary there. You got to lose your mind if they don't bring back Teoscar Hernández. Look, Bob Nightengale said to us just now, I think was on the nail, in that the Dodgers are always going to be opportunistic. You're never going to see them say 100% yes or 100% no, right? It's always on a scale. And if they think there's a price that makes sense for a player, they're going to be opportunistic. And that's exactly how they got Teoscar Hernandez in the first place, right? $23.5 million on a one-year deal with over $8 million of that deferred. And how were they able to pull that off? Because Teo's market wasn't what his representation expected it to be. This is a player where if you weren't dealing with the TV contract weirdness that was impacting player salaries, with the regional sports network issue, if you weren't dealing with a ownership group around the league that just kind of wasn't willing to pay players like Teoscar, he would have gotten paid already. But he came to the Dodgers, has had himself a really, really good season, an all-star season, won the home run derby, and now he's in a position to get paid. And he said $80 to $100 million. And if you could get Willy Adames at around the same price and he fills that premium position, well, there you go. And you do it that way. But honestly, to me, it's TBD on Teoscar Hernandez. I love Teoscar Hernandez, as nice as it could possibly be. Yesterday, a couple days ago in the clubhouse, he was in his he was at his locker, just kind of chilling on his phone after the game, and we were all talking to Max Muncy, and these reporters were trying to get his spot. He completely leaves his clubhouse locker spot, and he's like, "No, I'll be back. You guys can take my spot." I mean, he's just so courteous, so nice. I mean, the little things like that really say a lot about a person, in my opinion. And I think with Teoscar Hernandez, you love him for a couple different reasons. One, great clubhouse guy, great fit. Two, he rakes, and he's so productive. This season, he's gone from a 106 weighted runs created plus, where he was 6% above league average, to a 129 weighted runs created plus, where he's 29% above league average, hitting .267. slugging .488, has 28 home runs and 87 RBIs. So he's been fantastic for this team. I think ultimately his fate with this organization will ultimately be determined by what he does in the postseason, because the Dodgers have been desperate for someone to step up when it matters most, someone to step up and get that big hit that at least, I mean, they haven't gotten past the NLDS. 211 wins and 1 win to show for it in the last 2 seasons. If you get one guy that steps up and pushes you over through a series and gets you to the NLCS, gets you to the World Series, well, that's going to go a long way for this organization. They're going to consider that. They absolutely are. And like I said before, that if you don't have a Teoscar Hernandez, well, you definitely need someone that can rake against left-handed pitchers. And it's tough to find guys like that. So at the right price, I'm all for it. I'm all for it at the right price. You could, like you mentioned, you could go externally and still try to trade for a Bo Bichette. I would not rule out Bo Bichette being traded to the Dodgers still, because he's going to be less expensive, because he's going to be under less team control. He's going to be under 1 more year of team control after this season. So he's going to be a rental essentially. And it kind of remains to be seen whether or not the Dodgers want to pay shortstops that are north of 30. And you look at Miguel Rojas, he has a club option. They're going to pick that up. You look at Tommy Edman, he's under 1 more year of team control. And Tommy Edman, he's going to be in center field, but he can play shortstop. Miguel Rojas is still on this team. So it remains to be seen if they will go out there and spend big on a shortstop, knowing that once you're north of 30, your production as far as defensive metrics starts to slide. So I wouldn't be surprised. Now, as far as Teoscar Hernandez in left, the big question for me is, well, then what do you do with Dalton Rushing, the number 1 prospect that is ready to make his debut? And you also have Andy Paz as well. We got Fish. Oh, by the way, speaking of Teoscar Hernandez, our friends, fan of the show, sent us a bobblehead of Teoscar Hernandez, and we appreciate that. Noel, want to give him a shout out?
Most definitely a shout out to Darylyn Cooper on Instagram. She was kind enough to get an extra Teo bobblehead when she attended his bobblehead night, and she wanted to gift it to us to put on the show. So I got it right here. Mr. Teo right here, the man. So yeah, shout out Darylyn. And if you guys ever want to send us anything, we're going to drop our P.O. box address down below into the description. And yeah, we'll give you guys a shout out, give you guys some gifts, and just contribute to our set. You know, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us here every single day. And Darylyn, thank you. You're too kind for the tail bobblehead and the snacks from your husband's bakery as well. Thank you.
Delicious snacks, great bobblehead. And like he said, if you have anything you want to send us, we will accept it with open arms. For me, if it's free, it's for me. If it's free, I take 3. I'm a cheap dude. Anything free is what I love. So you want to send us anything, you're moving out, want to send us your bobblehead collection, want to send us some jerseys, want to send us some game bats, definitely do just that. We got the Fish Slayer. Hey, D-Mac, thank you for being on today, brother. Here recovering from a liver biopsy. Thank you and Dodgers Nation for making my day better. Hey, Fish Slayer, I'm going to give you a comment of the show for that. We're always here for you 24/7, 365. We hope you have a speedy recovery, and we're glad we can brighten your day. And hopefully the Dodgers, they do that tonight too, taking on the Braves. Win this game, win this series, win this division. Hopefully you get a Shohei Ohtani home run. Hopefully you get a Dodgers dub. But thanks for that. And yeah, we hope for a speedy recovery for you. Carol S., no way we don't need Soto. Would it be nice? Yes, but nope. There you go. That's nice. I like that to take. Nathan Hemperly, the only way I would bring Ohtani back to pitch in the postseason is if we were in the World Series and needed 1 more pitcher to finish the series. Other than that, no. Nathan, so for starters on that one, if that was the case, if it's a 3-2 game, yes, the velocity looks good, and he's looked impressive during his bullpen sessions, but will he have the command right off the rip like that? That is not a soft landing. The World Series, and the way I look at it is this: if the Dodgers are relying on possibly using Shohei Ohtani that late in the season, a lot of things have gone wrong with that bullpen in the first place. I'd prefer a Michael Kopech potentially, someone that is kind of accustomed to that role. I mean, what I've heard about Shohei Ohtani is if he wanted to, they might let him. If that's true, I'm not sure. But it is Shohei Ohtani. And for 99.9% of the people on the planet, you would say, heck no. No way. That's our $700 million investment. But good luck trying to tell this guy no. Right? Maybe Decoy can pitch. That's for sure. I'm okay with Decoy pitching. That's for sure. But Dave Roberts did tell reporters, he told us, I wouldn't say no way. I'm not going to close the door 100%. If I was scripting a movie or writing a book, it would be a no-brainer that he comes out of rehabilitation and throws the last pitch. The problem is, in reality, he hasn't thrown a leverage pitch in over a year. If he were to come out and it does go awry, it's not worth a potential injury. You just cannot duplicate the stress of that one inning. I just don't think it's worth it. And then Andrew Friedman also had some comments about it. He said, the subject is nowhere near front of mind for us. He's still going through his rehab progression. So you guys know I speak fluent Andrew Friedman. And the way I kind of unpack that, kind of slice through those comments is he says, well, it's nowhere near the front of mind for us now. And he says he's still going through the rehab progression now. But by October, mid-October, if he's still going through that, well, maybe if he finishes it. I mean, they definitely gave it a little out. Until I see Friedman say 100% he will not be pitching, then I won't let it creep into my mind just a little bit. I mean, he's already throwing off a mound. He's already scheduled to face hitters in the next couple of weeks. So once he starts to face hitters, can you imagine the feedback from the hitters? Like, whoa. Dude's pumping 95. Whoa. The splitter looks like it did before the injury. And the truth of the matter is, Shohei Ohtani should never be included in examples of anyone in the past because we've never seen a player like him. We don't even have confirmation about the type of surgery that he got. Most people believe it was the brace surgery, and I think that is what it was, but they were very loose with it as far as it could be this, could be that, we did this, but they never really gave the full report on what happened. Now, best case scenario is the bullpen's fine. The Dodgers are winning series convincingly. They're not showing up on a milk box during the postseason. Mookie's hitting, Freddie's hitting, Shohei's hitting, Teoscar's hitting, and you don't need to get to that point. But I agree with you in the sense that if you got so close, you made it past the NLDS, you made it through the NLCS, you got back to the World Series, and you were close to slamming the door shut and winning that World Series and getting the city of Los Angeles the first World Series ring and parade in 36 years, I think you would take that risk if you felt like you had a dominant Shohei Ohtani in a situation where you think he could be best optimized. Because the worst case scenario is he goes back out there. One, he's not effective. Everyone's talking about injury. I'm focusing on what if he goes out there and he doesn't have command? I'm right. I mean, this is someone who's already had multiple Tommy John surgeries. What has been the case with Walker Buehler? And I just said, I know you can't compare him to any other pitchers, but I'm just saying worst case scenario is the velocity is okay, but the command isn't there. And if you're in a tough spot in the World Series, it's a close game, you have to be able to have the command and hit your spots to be able to have success. I don't think that Shohei Ohtani would put himself in a position where he didn't think he would have success. Shohei Ohtani this year, I want to steal bases. Cool. I'll be the first 50-50 guy in history. So he knows what his capabilities are. And he's done things that we never thought were possible. So the fact that he has proof of, hey, I've done things that we've never seen. As far as I've been able to be an MVP hitter and a Cy Young caliber pitcher. I've done things that no one has seen. So maybe I'll do something else that no one has seen. And that is have a 50-50 season, head into the postseason, and then pitch because my team needs it. We don't know how Yamamoto's going to look. He's a rookie. He's never pitched in the postseason. He's been dealing with an injury. Glass now has been dealing with an injury. The number 4 starter spot is up in the air. Walker Buehler, Gavin Stone, Clayton Kershaw, Landon Knack. There's a lot of uncertainty with this postseason rotation and, frankly, the bullpen as well. Joe Kelly had his rehab start. Brusdar Graterol just made it back. Michael Kopech has never pitched in the postseason in his career. Evan Phillips was dealing with some slumps during the year but has made it back. So that would be the best case scenario. Is they don't need him, but the best case scenario is if you did need him, that, hey, it's Shohei and you let him go out there and operate. Now, I will say the worst case scenario is he goes out there and he gets injured. And that either prevents him from pitching in 2025 at the beginning or throughout the whole season, and something goes really wrong and he's an additional surgery or something like that. That'd be the worst case scenario. And the reason why that's even more terrible is because you could lose his bat. And that's the last thing you want. You don't want to lose prime Ohtani's bat for 2025. Having said that, if you did feel like it would win your World Series in 2024, hey, I don't know about you guys. If the Dodgers win the World Series this year, next September 13th, I'm still going to be celebrating that 2024 World Series. And they would have a lot of equity in this fan base. And two, if you look at the logistics of it as well, I mean, with his roster spot, I mean, you wouldn't have to designate him as a pitcher too. So, I mean, it's interesting to see how they would kind of formulate that as well. But let me know down below in the comment section, should the Dodgers consider using Shohei Ohtani out of the bullpen in the postseason? Let's see what you guys had to say over on the X. Because right now, 29% of you say yes, 71% of you say no. I would say no under any other circumstance other than there's lots of injuries and you're in the World Series. That's where I'm at. If you're in the World Series and you can clinch there and there's a ton of injuries. But before then, no. I don't think you do it as some novelty act like we saw in the 2019 NLDS with Clayton Kershaw. Nothing like that. Even in the 2016 NLDS where Kershaw had success, don't want to see him that because it's too early. And for the most part, I just think, look, I mean, you have to focus on the roster you have and what you've built. And the truth of the matter is this is one of the best bullpens we've seen from this franchise in a long time. On paper, this could be the best Dodgers bullpen since 2020, easily. And what happened that year, it was Julio Urias who was the reason why the bullpen had so much success late in those series. So they do have a history of getting creative and using starting pitchers to slam the door shut and get those final outs in the World Series. Lorenzo Gaddis, a $4.99 super chat. Catman on the postseason roster. What's going on with him? So we talked about this a couple days ago when it comes to Tony Gonsolin. And the truth about Tony Gonsolin is it's unlikely that he is going to be a part of this postseason mix. And maybe that's just because, look, he's essentially in the same situation that we saw Walker Buehler in last year. A guy trying to get back, a guy trying to contribute any way he possibly can. But the truth of the matter is one, there's guys in front of him. He's not really a bullpen type of pitcher. And if you needed him, he's another guy that falls in the category is, okay, if there's a circumstance, just be ready. Be ready if we need you. If you lose him for a injury reason and you lose a player for an injury reason, you got to go to a Tony Gonsolin. So, I mean, it'd be one thing if Tony Gonsolin was some lights out postseason pitcher. The truth of the matter is Tony Gonsolin has an ERA at almost 10 in the postseason. So it's not like he's a guy you're like, oh, Tony Gonsolin in the postseason, well, it would be amazing. And yes, he had the long layoff in 2020 and that led to it. And then in 2022, he was dealing with an injury coming back from that when he struggled in game 3 against the Padres when he didn't pitch well. But right now, they haven't ruled it out. It's another one they haven't ruled it out completely. And he did look pretty solid in his first rehab start for OKC. But I just don't think that it's something that they're really strongly considering. It's something that they would entertain if there were injuries. We got $2 super chat from Abstract. D-Mac, do you think we should hold on to the second seed? It's a good question. I mean, I personally don't look at it that way. I think you're not going to, I mean, they've already made it very clear you want to win as many games you possibly can. That's the mindset of the organization, because you feel strongly that, look, at some point, home field advantage will benefit you. I think, too, when you have a lot of first-time pitchers that you could potentially see in the postseason, as far as a Yamamoto, I mean, Knack potentially. I mean, I definitely think that is a factor. But, I mean, you got to be a good team no matter what. And if you're the Dodgers, and right now they're at 87-59, 87-59, one game back from the Phillies. If you're the Dodgers, you have to face a good team either way in the postseason. And I made it pretty clear. On the show. Yeah, it's the division guys kind of scare you a little bit. The division guys scare you just because they see you more often. You have 13 games against them. And right now, the Phillies, they would take on the winner of the Diamondbacks and the Padres. The Dodgers, they would take on the winner of the Mets and the Brewers. And I think that if I had to rank those teams on which team that I would want to play the most, I would probably have to say the Mets, just because their lineup not deep enough to really do a lot of damage against this Dodger team if they're fully healthy. And when you look at their starting pitching as well, I mean, that's not a team that really scares you. I mean, the DeGroms aren't there. The Scherzers aren't there. I mean, you're looking a lot of solid, but the Mets are a good team. Don't get me wrong. The Mets are a good team, and the Brewers are a decent team too. But, I mean, when you look at that rotation, I mean, Severino, Minaya, Quintana, they've had those guys this year. Peterson. I mean, Edwin, your best pitcher is a guy that would have to close out for you. And as far as Edwin Diaz, you look at their lineup as a whole, doesn't strike a ton of fear in me compared to a team like the Padres with Luis Ariz. And we know Manny Machado has his moments in the postseason. So, I mean, that's a team I don't necessarily want to face if I had to, just because it's almost a series where it feels like they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And if you have some early success in any of those series, if you're the Padres or the Diamondbacks, that definitely some doubt and added pressure could creep in for the Dodgers, because you don't want to see a repeat of what's happened the last couple of seasons. So should they try to stay in it strategically? I mean, you're talking about a lot of bettors out there that would probably want to call the FBI at that point. I mean, I don't want an investigation to happen, okay? You got to go out there and try to win the game. But as far as what's best for the Dodgers, yeah, I mean, I think the Mets would be the weakest competition of first of all, the Padres bullpen. They have a postseason bullpen. And the Diamondbacks are scrappy, and they're a team that the Dodgers took 3 or 4 from, but they didn't have Moreno. You didn't have your catcher. You didn't have Ketel Marte, right? You didn't have Christian Walker, Dodger killer. So I just don't love division matchups in the postseason. But let me know down below in the comment section, what is your answer to that question? We got Potter, AU Potter. If we have to face a decider in the NLDS and NLCS World Series, Ohtani is more worthy than anybody else to play as starting pitcher, or once eliminated due to poor pitching, will have wasted one of his most valuable years. I mean, that's a fair point. I'll give you a fire take for sure, is that you want to take advantage of his prime. And every single year that they don't win the World Series, the conversation is, this isn't a success. The truth of the matter is, the Ohtani era will not be a success without at least one championship. In a lot of people's eyes, without 2 championships. So you lose a prime MVP year. Ken Worm, D-Mac, will Gonsolin, Knack, and Miller all be back if Sasaki is acquired? The way I look at it is they're going to try to stockpile as much depth as they possibly can when it comes to starting pitching, because we know that the rotation, the bullpen, the depth of the farm looks very different during spring training than it does a month or 2 or 3 months in, or by September when injuries ultimately occur. Injuries are inevitable for starting pitchers. Starting pitchers break, and that's what happens. So I definitely think that doesn't mean okay, we're going to trade this guy, trade that guy, especially too when you look at the fact that Gonsolin's stock isn't high. He hasn't pitched. Bobby Miller's stock isn't high. Landon Knack is someone that you could use in a trade. I mean, we saw they traded Ryan Pepio in the deal with Johnny DeLuca for Tyler Glass now. We saw them let Ross Stripling and Mitch White, guys like that go. But I think, honestly, I think Landon Knack, his ceiling is a little higher in certain degrees, and his value is a little more too, as far as what he can do for this team right now. Plus, he just came on the show this week, so he has the Dodgers Dugout Live karma, man. That goes a long way. Daniel Kinder, 499, great show today, LFG. Thanks, Daniel. You couldn't be kinder. Actually, no, you are kinder. So I'll give you a little comment to the show for that. Let's see some more. We got to Moreland. I would rather have Ohtani be healthy for next season than pitch for a bit in the postseason and get hurt. Yeah, I mean, look, that's true. Having said that, everyone can get hurt, right? And I am on the side of no, do not let him pitch. And it doesn't make sense. For me, it's kind of less about him getting hurt. And definitely that's a major factor. It's about, do you want to put him in a position to have success? Okay. I mean, let's kind of dream this up. If it's in the NLCS, I mean, going against Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. I mean, if it's in the World Series, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge. I mean, it'd be theater. It'd be pure cinema. It certainly would. But can you imagine? I mean, that is the definition of the non-softest landing in the history of appearances. It does not happen. It's not regular. It's not normal. So I just like to give you guys all the different scenarios. For me, I'm only considering it if they're knocking on that World Series door and they're close to closing out. You have injuries and he thinks he can do it. The bullpens look good. He feels healthy. Then maybe. But until then, no. Christopher, have to beat the best. Dodgers will have to beat one of the Padres, D-backs, or Phillies anyway. Earlier you get it out of the way, the more clear the path becomes to the World Series championship. Christopher, going to give you a let's go Dodgers for that. I like the take. Having said that, though, where the Dodgers have an advantage over teams around baseball, the reason why they roll out of bed and win 100 games essentially every year, might not happen this season, but that's what this organization does. They have cracked the code on the regular season. One of the big reasons why is because they understand that depth on the margins wins. And you take advantage of that more in the later rounds, right? In the later rounds, that's when you take advantage of that. Not in the DS when it could be 2, could be 3 times where you need to reach into that depth. But in the later rounds, you need it more. So, yeah, I mean, it would be a boost. But here's the thing, too. Kind of to your point, what happened in 2021? In 2021, the Dodgers had to go against the 107-win Giants in the NLDS. They won that series, but it went to 5 games. You had to use Walker Buehler in a short rest situation. Also, Max Scherzer came out to close that game. Julio Urias was out of gas by the time the Braves series rolled around. Max Scherzer's arm literally passed away and then came back to life and resurrected enough just to sign that contract with the Mets. You did not have enough fresh arms in that series. So the truth of the matter is the best case scenario is to make light work of your NLDS, have as many fresh arms as possible, and then have enough left in the tank for later. So I think that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, you just want to be able to get those first couple of wins at home. And look, the Padres, I mean, sometimes I feel like the Padres would rather beat the Dodgers in the NLDS than win the World Series, man. They are absolutely obsessed with the Dodgers. They're obsessed with this team. It is their World Series. I know Mookie Betts told us that every game is going to be the Dodgers World Series, but the Dodgers opponent's World Series. But for the Padres, it's really true. I'm going to go to you, Tony Taters. Where are you at with that question? As far as, do you want the best record to take on the 4-5 matchup with the Diamondbacks and the Padres? Or are you saying, look, let's try to stay in 2, maybe throw some different guys in different spots, and you go up against the Brewers or the Mets as it stands?
Dude, just win the division. That's all I care about. Whoever they play, they're going to come for the Dodgers' head. Everybody hates the Dodgers, be honest, So whoever they play, they're going to play their World Series, like you said. So just might as well win the division and just go all out,
Facts. And then we got got Noel repping his Padres colors today.
I knew you could say that.
What? No, I mean, what do you? Because like for you, social media guy, the Padres. I'm always thinking like, man, like what hits? You know what I mean, the Padres Dodgers feeds families, right? I mean, it's absolutely electric. People get into it. But do you think kind of like the first round? I mean, it's not the NBA. Everyone gets 7 games. Yeah. Right. It's 5 games. Big difference.
I mean, it'll definitely be dangerous. Like you said, the Padres, they made some moves at the deadline. They have a really good bullpen. Obviously, when their guys are hot and hitting, they're one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. We saw they've gone on a crazy stretch to even make the division tight along with the Diamondbacks. But I do agree with you, D-Mac. Like, it's dangerous. You want to try to use that NLDS to kind of get the juices flowing.
Especially with the layoff, too.
Because you don't want to waste anybody more than you need to. I do hope we see the Padres at some point. I'm not going to lie. I think that would feed families. And we need that rematch. And, that would just be amazing for the game of baseball to see that series go down again, rematch.
I like that point, well, as far as either Padres, Dodgers, Padres, Phillies.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely, any of those two. Yeah. Give me those two. That's what I want to see. How about you, Serena? Were you out on the Padres as far as them, like, kind of being like little brothers trying to like think this is a rivalry? I mean, do you think it's a real rivalry, or what do you think it's more of like a little brother type thing?
I think it's a little brother type of thing. I think everyone's always going to come for the Dodgers. We're number one. There's always going to be like Dodger haters out there. We're always going to have a target on our back. That's the way it's been.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we basically paid for Petco Park, right? I mean, what the Dodgers fans do to the economy of San Diego is major. And it's always, it's funny too, because when people say it's not a rivalry, sure, it's not a rivalry, but to say there's not juice between these two teams right now with the way their current rosters are. Yeah. I mean, Manny Machado hit homers, yelling LFG, throwing the bat. I mean, there's definitely something there between these two teams. And it would also, too, what happened in 2020. They beat the Padres in the NLDS. So it would definitely be hopefully a harbinger of good things to come. Now, speaking of teams that the Dodgers might face, a real rival, I think, honestly, as far as from the 90s up until now. I mean, the other NL team they've been compared to as far as winning all the divisions is the Atlanta Braves. And the Dodgers take on the Atlanta Braves tonight in a wraparound series. Of course, we know that one of the big storylines is going to be Shohei Ohtani. I mean, that's going to dominate all week. But I'm excited to see Friday night tonight. We got our boy Landon Knack, the Knack attack on the mound, playing with that Dodgers dugout live karma. Might have to throw a perfect game because of that. He's going up against Schwellenbach. Schwellenbach is a good name. Schwellenbach, an Apple TV start. Apple TV Plus, 420. Knack versus Schwellenbach. Saturday, you got Flaherty versus Sale. Chris Sale, he's been the best pitcher in the National League. He's going to win the Cy Young. That's going to be a difficult one. But, hey, that's going to be really cool because that's going to be like a postseason game as far as the
Tyler Glasnow update too.
What is it?
From Jack Harris. He didn't end up throwing his scheduled simulated game today. Everything was set up for it, but after he warmed up, he went back to the clubhouse without facing anybody, and there's no word about why just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heart just dropped.
Pending details, but yeah, we're gonna have to see what that was about.
So there you go, and thanks for that update, Mr. Noel Sanchez.
Yeah, from Jack Harris, LA Times.
From Jack Harris, the LA Times. So that definitely is concerning. Anytime your potential game one starter is dealing with a injury this late in the season, it's already concerning, but he was trending in the right direction. Bullpen was going well, facing hitters was going well, but he did not end up throwing that scheduled simulated game. So clearly, for whatever reason, he did not feel right. And it'd be one thing if he wasn't warming up, maybe he felt sick or anything, but he did warm up in the bullpen, and they went to the clubhouse after that and is not going to face hitters. So that'll be something that we are going to definitely hear from Dave Roberts in a few hours about. So hopefully it's extremely precautionary, but not a good update. So you look at the rotation right now. I mean, at that point, it's Yamamoto and Flaherty as your game 1 and 2 starters. At that point, you might even feel okay with Flaherty as your game 1 starter. I think in that situation, I go Flaherty over Yamamoto in game 1, just because his veteran status, he's been in the league, he's been in the postseason. I think you put Yamamoto in a better spot to kind of just see one, experience one, and then you give him an opportunity. And then I think Landon Knack is a part of this postseason rotation. I think you need to hope Gavin Stone can come back. I mean, Clayton Kershaw might factor in as well. Walker Buehler might factor in as well. But losing Tyler Glass now would be a massive blow. And then you know what? I took everything I said about Shohei Ohtani not pitching. No, I'm just playing. But definitely not the best update at the end here. But we're going to be back later to get the latest on that. So stay tuned. Let's do some comments to end the show. Dodger Boy, like that, Dodger Boy 71. No, I was a big Dodger boy. I think priority off season is get more pitching, maybe not top-notch starters, but a bunch of healthy arms that will not break down or blow out their arms. I like that take. And I think, to your point, this is some walk-off shots here. To your point, they have been doing that with the James Paxton types, the Noah Syndergaards, kind of one-year deals. Justin Martinez, do not let Ohtani pitch at all this season. Let him stay focused on this year and worry about pitching for the future. Martin, rushing will be the next star. Hey, we're going to spend some more time on rushing on Monday. Adam 818, Dodgers should sign Fried or Burns. Could be interesting. I mean, Burns would be very expensive. Avery, D-Mac, not beating the GOAT allegations. Okay, first... I was reading that. I was like, I love that. Hey, shout out to Avery, man. You're the man. Okay, real quick before we get out of here, guys. Predictions tonight. Going Shohei Ohtani bomb. We're getting a Shohei Ohtani homer for me. I got this series going as a split. I think they split this wraparound series 2-for-2. I picked the last 7 series that they've had correctly. I didn't pick the Angels or the Cubs series, though, so I'm not taking credit for that. But I think I'm going 2-2 this series. Tony Taters.
What's up? I'm going to go 3-1.
Braves.
Yes, against the Braves. I think the Dodgers.
Oh, 3-1 Braves are going to take.
No, 3-1 the Dodgers are going to take.
Okay.
Come on now. But and I think it's going to be a great performance. I think Freddie Freeman's going to ball out once again
against his old team.
That's right.
How many tiers? Over under 50.
Let's go all the way.
All the way. Okay. Noel, home run. Give me your called shot. And how many games will the Dodgers take this series?
Dodgers take 3 out of 4.
I like it.
Tommy Edman hits his 5th home run in the past 3 games.
Oh, but not 2? Forget. Who cares?
No.
So, okay.
Yeah, Tommy Edman hits it goes deep tonight.
The Dodgers record for multi-home run games consecutively is 2. So we could see some Tommy Edman history tonight.
Sir,
how about you?
Tommy Tank.
Tommy Tanks. There we go. Of course, because Tater's already taken, right? By Tony Taters. How about you, Serena?
You can have it, dude.
Called shot.
I hate to steal Noel's answer, but I've been talking about Tommy Edman. I think he's going to have a homer. Maybe, I think 2.
2?
I'm gonna go 2 for Tommy.
That's a fire. If that happens,
2 for Tommy. 2 for Tommy.
If that happens, we all have to eat both sides on the show.
If that happens, I'll do a shoey, man.
Yeah,
I'll do a shoey for
Dodgers
sure.
take 3. I also think Mookie's gonna get a homer. I'm always gonna
A Mookie
shout out
bomb.
Mookie.
I love it.
Yeah.
There you go. Dodgers, Braves tonight. We'll be back with you after the game for a post-game show live. Thank you so much for joining us here on Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. Another thank you to MLB insider Bob Nightengale for joining the show. Remember, nothing brings us together